Hello everyone and welcome back to Unity of Command. This is the campaign scenario Terek from the Axis campaign of the base game, of the main game. September 11th, 1942. At the tail end of their long logistical tether, Germans are having a hard time advancing further south. A final push along the Georgian military road is their last chance of breaking through the Caucasus before the first winter snows close the mountain passes. Right. This is stated to be a hard scenario, and I have no idea if that is true. Even the first the scenario briefing in the campaign itself, which had additional hints on how to win the game, how to win the scenario, states that this is going to be a tough one. But what you're going to see is actually the first attempt. I managed to win the first time around, and I cannot believe that this is that difficult a scenario. There are very few units. It's a minuscule map, and you have to win within 6 turns, so you can retry over and over again if you have to. But anyway, I think I got lucky. I'll show you what happened. I don't think the scenario designer thought about this happening. So, because at first look, it's a really weird setup. We have 31 steps, and the AI has 89 steps, so they outnumber us 3-1. Nobody receives any reinforcements whatsoever, not even steps at all throughout this scenario. And we have one bridging action, which I literally never used. Right, so you can already see that this is a very tiny map, and it is. That's all of it. And I had a strategy, which I'm going to explain what it was, and things turned out differently and better, I suppose, than I had expected, far better. Alright, let's take a quick look at our objectives. The first one to capture is the Georgian road. This is our best chance of breaking through the Caucasus before the winter, to be taken by the end of turn 5. And in the that's in the middle of the map. And in the east we have Makhachkala. Capture this town to decisively sever the Caucasus region from Astrakhan and the rest of the Soviet Union, to be taken by the end of turn 6. Right. If we look at the map, we see that the terrain is relatively difficult or rugged. We have the Terek River here, our first obstacle. We just arrived on the northern bank. And once you've crossed it, well, we have a road that is mostly clear. We have 2 towns, 2 cities, Grozny and Ordzhonikidze. And anything off-road is hilly or forested, so it's kind of a bit of a difficult terrain. And supply is very simple. You cannot cut off the Soviets. They have supply routes running everywhere where the road, where a supply line enters the map. They have a range of 8. We also have our supply source on the road. It has a range of 6, and this will be of importance, the range itself, that it has a range of 6. And yeah, let's take a quick look at the map itself. It's not going to take long for sure. We have exactly 6 units, 1 veteran Romanian infantry unit, which is still not a really excellent asset. 3 veteran panzer divisions with 5 steps each, which are of course our units that we have to rely on, and 2 standard level German infantry divisions. As for the Soviets, they only have infantry divisions with the exception of 1 cavalry unit. Some of them are veteran, and the veteran ones tend to have a specialist step attached to them. And we have 1 further T-34, so we have NKVD and T-34 specialist steps attached. So at first glance, this looks really tough. We have a lot of resistance to cut through. Nothing matches us really one-on-one, but we are outnumbered 3-1, so that's not really a fair setup. So my strategy was that since our forces are kind of concentrated around here, I'll force a breakthrough and push through at least 1 tank unit, this tank unit to be precise, on the other side of the river, other bank of the river, and I'll make sure that in the next turn I can push at least another one through as well, across as well. And I thought that on turn 2 I'll clear out most of these units here, and also capture the other side of the bridge here so we can connect up the road. And we could also have established the bridge here if we had pushed through. I see that now, but the idea was to simply walk through, or rather wade through the river, and and see where we go from there. This was the first attempt. I didn't expect to win a hard scenario, and this is what happened. So I moved the tank, this unit retreats, I move the other tank unit across, destroyed, and the reason I did this reshuffle is that the next turn both of these tank divisions should be able to cross the river and be on the other side. So I basically achieved my goal. I wasn't prepared for what happened next. So on the Soviets' first turn, the first thing they did was they took this excellent unit, one of their best or the best unit, to Ordzhonikidze. The other unit that's equal to this one holds Grozny. And I immediately knew that we are not going to capture these two city axes. And that's not really a problem. As long as they don't move out of the city axis, we'll be fine, as you will see. So I realized that this was good so far. And this also happened. And this also happened. And the AI moved away from the bridge, moved up into our faces, and in general just moved into positions which are highly disadvantageous for it. So the bridge is not held. We can literally walk across. These units are exposed, so are these. So theoretically, yes, they almost captured our supplies. They didn't capture it, by the way. They just cut us off. And by cutting us off, I mean they cut off one unit, precisely this one, which is in full supply anyway. So this gave me the perfect opportunity to just simply eliminate all of these Soviet forces, like thus. This one survives with one step, but that's not going to last long. And I don't think it's a good idea to move the Romanian infantry along the west of the river, but I didn't need it, as you saw. So it can still be used in the main front line, I guess. In the east, we can remove the remaining Soviet units here, and literally remove all of them. That's excellent. And our tank can still move. Now we are occupying the areas of control of this unit, and by cutting it off, we actually corner it as well, so it's totally useless. And by coming here, we have made sure that it cannot cut us off. It cannot attack, it's unable to attack, and it cannot cut us off from supply. So our supply literally runs until this unit. And the forwardmost Panzer unit hasn't even moved yet, so we destroyed this NKVD unit and moved there specifically. That was absolutely deliberate, so that it will be resupplied. If it doesn't, then it won't be able to attack the next turn, so we need it to be resupplied. Actually, this unit also remained in supply, amazingly. So, because the supply runs from here as well, we didn't manage to cut it off fully, and so it still can offer some weak resistance. The AI occupies the victory hex, which is neither of the cities. So that's also crucial, that the victory hexes are this one is clear, and this one is high mountain technically, but it's held by a weaker unit. So that's also kind of important. Oops. All right, so it occupies the victory hex. It tries to block our passage in a very lame way, and this turn, on turn 3, we got it cornered again, so the Romanians can finish it off. I know what we need to do. We need to launch ahead and focus on this victory hex. We will completely evade and circumvent Ordzhonikidze as well as Grozny. Our supply should reach well enough here, so we can stop here, remain in supply, and launch our final assault on Mahachkala, whilst also staying in full supply. And amazingly, this strategy, as I said, this was the first attempt, it worked out perfectly. I don't attack the city. This is a very, very strong unit. It's veteran, it has a tank specialist step, it's entrenched. So I'll just let it be. If it decides to attack outwards, then it will have a bad time. And I attack this hex because I didn't want to lose active steps, and I knew that we needed to capture this victory hex very soon. All right. So so that's basically it. Our supply runs up until here, so everything is in full supply. So here's the attack again, and the AI did nothing, and so we can commence our turn 4. We only need to capture this on turn 5, by the way, and we will only capture it on turn 5. We remove the infantry unit, and we move this other infantry unit here so that this unit cannot simply move there and occupy the victory hex. And we're fine. Even if it attacked out, I don't think it would. We are in clear ground, so we are in a disadvantageous position. But yeah, we probably would have eventually, we would have survived, got here, and then, you know, with the terrain bonus, I know that this unit will be able to hold it with its terrain bonus. And if this unit moves out, then it's also forfeit. It's also cut off from supply, obviously. It's in rough terrain and supply doesn't directly come to it. And we begin our turn 5 with all our units in supply. We could have even moved one step further ahead to, like one hex further ahead to remain in supply. And we only need to capture this clear point here. So let's see how we do it. First of all, capture the first point because we needed to do it in this turn. And I sent the last tank division in our little conga line to here to occupy the area of control of this unit, and just propel the other unit forward and yes, decimate or annihilate the Soviet forces. And we are already attacking, assaulting the victory hex, and this was extremely successful, as you could see. Literally one step survived. The AI never, or basically never moves out of a victory hex to replace it with better units. Not that this unit is much better, to be honest, so it has 2+1 steps. This unit cannot go there. This unit is unable to attack. In the next turn, it would theoretically be, in its next turn, would theoretically be fully out of supply, and we could remove it, but we have to win the next turn, so we won't be around until it collapses. And the AI cut us off, but we don't care. This is our last turn, so it's not really important. We still attack it out of spite. And of course, our veteran tank unit is sufficient to remove one infantry step, even if it's a veteran infantry step. This was a quite lopsided battle. And I also removed this one just to spike it. We are not in supply, obviously our supply doesn't reach that far, but before the final move of this scenario, I had 3 units, any one of which could have moved into the victory hex, so I decided to move the furthest one and thus win. We actually never got cut off this unit, but we still could. If we had more time, we could move these 2 units and cut off this unit from supply, starve it out. So given a few more turns, we could have cleared out the map completely. So that's the whole scenario, basically. I don't know if you can trick the AI into making this unfavorable decision every time, but this was perfect. Its infantry units moved out of better terrain and better positions to cut us off, but they only cut off literally one unit, which was totally inconsequential. It got back into supply the next turn, and it also launched an absolutely stupid offensive in the east, which meant that we could remove a lot of its units on our second turn, and we could also advance quite far ahead. Then it was basically over. The remaining units could stand no chance, and that's it. I recommend you copy my actions on the first turn. If for some reason the AI doesn't react the same way, then you can force a crossing. You can also create a bridge here if you want to. So if you push across here, then you can also create a bridge here and push along that as well. So that might be what the scenario designer originally intended. Clear out everything up until Ordzhonikidze. Don't worry about the city. Clear out everything like I did. Ignore the 2 cities. Let them just stay there and rot there. They're not needed, so they can just, remain in position and not be a threat to anyone. and just push to the east. Don't send this Romanian unit down like I did, the south like I did. It's not going to achieve anything. I originally intended for it to go to the road and try to cut it off, but it arrived far too late, so you can turn it towards the east and it may be able to assist you in some way. And just propel ahead. Now, I think our total losses was 1 infantry step. That's it. That's all the units we've lost. We didn't lose any armored steps. The Romanians survived at full strength. I know they're depleted, but they're alive. And this is all that remains of the AI's forces. I think this is an extremely easy scenario, even if your first attempt doesn't turn out this great. It's very small. You can really quickly restart it and keep trying until you get lucky. So if my strategy doesn't work for you, then I highly recommend you build a bridge here, and then everything should be fine and dandy. The AI has very weak units, so even though we are outnumbered 3-1, these tank units can easily remove several units on one turn. And by ignoring their best units, they're literally no match against us. Alright, I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.